Hello, my name's Scott. I'm a professional magician and this is a magic review.
It's a kind of magic.
In today's review, we are looking at the long-awaited Liquid Spectrum by Tobias Dostal, produced by Ellusionist, or released by Ellusionist. Do I really need to review this? I think if you're watching this, you know it's going to be a great product. I will, of course, continue with the review, but my TLDR on this is if you like the look of it, and if you're a fan of Tobias Dostal's work, then you're going to love this. This is similar to his last release, Liquify, except instead of being a vertical chest height melt, it's a melt on a table of random objects. So I think you're going to love it. It's more Tobias Dostal. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Tobias Dostal is the Willy Wonka of magic and might be one of the most creative magicians of our time. But that's my TLDR. Let's get into more of the details and the guts of this review of Liquid Spectrum. What is it? Liquid Spectrum, as I say, in comparison to his last hit release, Liquify, where you liquefy something like this at chest height in a vertical format. This time you are liquefying things in a horizontal format on a table or on a surface. So you will need some table, you will need a flat surface to perform this on. And it's not even one thing, it's 100 things, it's 1,000 things, but whatever it is that you're performing the effect with and whatever context you're performing it with, the simple idea here is that you take an item and you put it onto the table and you melt it into a puddle of liquid, and that's it. And then you can reform it into a solid object again if you wish. Depends entirely on how you want to use this, but that's the effect. You're melting something, you're melting a physical object right in front of someone's eyes and then reforming it, reshaping it back into a physical object again. That, in a nutshell, is what Liquid Spectrum is. What do you get when you purchase Liquid Spectrum though? Well, I have managed to somehow spill lots of different things on my table here, on my close-up pad, and I'll give you a closer view of them to see all of these different liquids that I've so clumsily spilled on my table. But these are what you receive. You also, in the box, receive a Sharpie, you receive a miniature duck, and you also receive a like a traditional red lollipop, and that is what you receive in terms of the props. You also receive approximately 120 minutes of instructions by Tobias. Of course, Ellusionists produce incredibly high quality instructions. They're shot from multiple angles. Tobias, I think he said he's been working on this effect, this product, for 5 years. It shows he has 7 different effects to get you started. And then he has a lot of other teachings on it as well, from handlings to tips to jam sessions of different ideas to the story of what inspired him to create the trick. So it's around 2 hours of really high quality instructions, which is what we've come to expect of someone like Tobias. He just gives us the gift and allows us to run with it. So the instructions are really fantastic in this, but we can't download them. I couldn't find a way to download them. If I'm purchasing a product, I want to own my instructions. I want to be able to download my instructions, the instructions to my product that I might need to watch a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later, when they may not be available anymore. So I don't like that companies are still withholding the files from us, but that is what it is. It's a detail to be aware of, and that covers everything that you receive when you purchase Liquid Spectrum. I just want to interrupt this review for a second. If you find my reviews helpful and if they help you make a purchase or decide not to purchase and save you money, please do support this channel. The more support this channel gets, the more subscribers we get, the more people who interact with the channel, the more reviews I'm going to be able to do, and the more I'm going to be able to help you. I'm trying to do these reviews to help the magic community and help people like you, because there are a lot of reviewers who talk absolute nonsense. So if you do enjoy this channel and you do find my content useful, then please do share, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate everything everyone does for this channel. Back to the review. How easy is it to perform? It's not actually that difficult. Because of the material that these are made out of, a silicone material, it's fairly easy to do. I think that I could probably teach a hobbyist or a beginner magician who isn't very good at sleight of hand. I think I could teach them how to do this fairly quickly, within an hour probably, and they would be able to do it okay. It would require a bit more practice to perform it well, but I think it's very approachable for lots of different people. And I think that there are lots of situations that you can perform it where if you're not so good with dexterity and handling, even though it is very simple in terms of the moves that are required to perform it, and Tobias does teach you everything you need to know in that respect, I do think that even if you're a bit sloppy with it, you can probably get away with it in some situations because it's such a casual thing. So while it is quite an accessible trick to perform, and I would say it is approachable to beginners, there are other things, other effects, other moves within the tutorials and explanation that are a little bit more intermediate. And you can pick and choose how you want to use this. That's the beauty of the product. That's why they've given you so many gimmicks to work with. But hopefully that covers how difficult it is. If you have any questions about that, leave it in a comment below. Reset time is really fast, basically instant, depending on what you're performing, but you're always going to want to clean up the gimmick afterwards. You're never going to want to leave the gimmick on the table, and that means that you're going to reset within seconds. And when I say that, I mean that at the beginning, it takes a couple of seconds to get ready. At the end, it takes a couple of seconds to ditch and then retrieve again. But you're ready instantly. There's no charging, there's no electronics, there's no crazy threads or flaps or anything like that. You are ready to go at a moment's notice, and you're basically instantly reset every single time. Angles are really good for this as well. You could always move your hand or your body slightly. Also, if you do have any people on your extreme sides, but for the most part, it's not difficult to stay covered when you're performing basically everything with this. Because of the way that the melting works, and because you're melting an object, you're generally holding on to the other object. The angles are fantastic. You can perform this in so many different real-life situations. And for that reason, yeah, I have to give the angles a 10 out of 10. Not to mention the pocket space, which is also fantastic because you're only going to be carrying one of these. And it's very thin, it's very pliable. And, you know, these stains that I have on the table are very light as well. The only other thing you need to carry is the thing that you're going to melt. And sometimes you don't even carry that, because sometimes you're going to just squirt some ketchup on the table or some hot sauce, or there's so many ideas that Tobias takes you through and inspirations to get you started with it. But really, if there was ever an effect where the saying that magicians love to say, where the possibilities are limited to your imagination, I think this is probably the one that really does mean it, because there are so many different applications for this. I feel like I rambled a bit there, but pocket space is fantastic. And now my final thoughts on this. My only final thought, in addition that I can add to everything that I've previously said, is that I would have liked if there was a clear melting gimmick. Just a transparent, like water or something like that, just a completely clear one. That's the only other thing I can say. I cannot fault this for anything else in the product. I will say, however, that in my opinion, this is not necessarily a trick within itself. There are certain things like melting a lighter, I think is great. That is almost an effect on its own. But most of the things that you're doing here are, in my opinion, not entire tricks within themselves. I think that they lend themselves to being added to routines, to added to make an existing trick that you know better, or to do something fun while you're having a coffee with someone or something like this. So I don't see any of this in Liquid Spectrum as an entire trick or a complete trick, because a complete magic trick should be like a book. It should be like a journey. It should have a beginning and a middle and an end and some, I don't know. I think that the structure of this complements a trick and can be added to it. But I think it's important to note that if you perform this for someone and you melt something, they might be expecting something little bit more from you, more than just melting it. So you might want to go into another trick, another card trick, or have something a little bit bigger planned, not just, hey, here's a lighter, my lighter's melted and now it's reformed. Here, light your cigarette. you can do that, but I think that's when liquid spectrum is at its weakest. And when it's at its weakest, it's still very strong and it's still very novel. And there's not really anything else that we have like this as a product within the magic industry. So it's £60. It's well worth it, in my opinion. These are gimmicks that are going to last you for a really long time. And it's such a fun product. It's such a fun effect. There's so many ideas that they already give you out of the box, and you'll be performing it within an hour or within an afternoon or pretty quickly. And yeah, it's one of those ones that is only as good as the amount of time you put into it. So thank you to Ellusionist and Geraint Clark for sending this to me for review, so that basically I could tell you to go out and buy it. They have not told me to say that. I am saying that because I truly believe that this is a fantastic product. And the only reason that they sent this to me, I was planning to buy this to review for you. The only reason they sent it to me is because I have a secret project coming up, and I was talking to Geraint on this secret project that will be available on this channel soon for free. And I joked about, well, you could always send me liquid spectrum. And he said, okay, yeah, I can do that. That's fine. I'll organize that for you. So it was only kind of an off-the-cuff comment that Ellusionist sent this to me. But as with all of my reviews, I'm being completely honest. These are my true thoughts about the product. And yeah, I love it. I'm starting to wonder what Tobias can create next that's going to be better than everything else that he's created. So let's hope that his winning streak continues and that he continues blessing us with fantastic products that are novel and interesting and unlike anything else that we have. I'm going to stop gushing now, and I'm going to start looking around the house for lots of things that I can melt. Hit the like button, leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next review.